Just when it looked like President Trump's tariff agenda was settling into a slightly more stable, if still volatile phase, he struck again, in rapid succession, a 50% tariff on EU goods and a 25% tariff on iPhones made in India. It's Groundhog Day all over again. The European Union, one of America's biggest trading partners, bought $370 billion worth of US goods and exported $600 billion worth last year. If the 50% tariff is met with proportional retaliation, it could push Europe into recession, dent global growth, and cut US GDP by 1.5%, according to the Kiel Institute. So, what happened? The tariff escalation came just a day after the G7 finance ministers met in Canada, a gathering that by all accounts suggested improving relations. No one saw that bombshell coming, including Scott Bessent, Trump's own representative, who scrambled to respond in interviews afterwards. Speaking to Fox News, Bessent criticized the EU, saying its trade proposals were of lower quality compared to other nations. What he meant, of course, was they didn't offer as many concessions under pressure. Meanwhile, Trump contradicted him, declaring, "I'm not looking for a deal. We've set the deal. It's at 50%. So apparently, negotiation now means do what I say or else. These new tariffs are being framed as pressure tactics during a supposed negotiation window. Originally, the US imposed 20% tariffs, paused for 90 days for talks, but now they're more than doubled and will take effect on June the 1st. Naturally, the EU isn't impressed. Markus Sefcovic, European Commissioner for Trade, said any deal must be based on mutual respect, not threats. Ireland, one of the hardest hit countries, called Trump's move enormously disappointing, though we can guess stronger words were used behind closed doors. This isn't a temporary disruption or a hardball negotiation tactic, it's a pattern. The US, or rather Trump, is signaling to the world that he is willing to blow up trade relationships whenever there is resistance. Investors now have to factor in the risk that US trade policy could turn on a dime. This isn't just posturing, it's a red flag for global business. Tariffs used to be bargaining chips, painful but temporary. Now they're weapons, deployed anytime Trump doesn't get his way. Meanwhile, businesses need stability, investors need predictability, and right now they're getting neither. China, meanwhile, is seizing the opportunity to present itself as the responsible, rules-based alternative. Now, will the EU retaliate? Before the original pause, it was preparing a 25% tariff on $20 billion worth of US goods, with another $100 billion in potential measures. However, the EU is a complex bloc with internal divisions. Italy's Giorgia Meloni, for example, has argued against strong retaliation, partially due to her close ties with Trump. That gives the US room to try divide and conquer tactics. Still, most member states are backing the European Commission's measured approach, believing Trump often backs down once US industries or their economy feel the pain. As one EU diplomat said dryly, "We don't make policy decisions based on tweets, at least not on this side of the Atlantic." And it's not just Europe. Trump singled out Apple, threatening a 25% tariff on iPhones manufactured in India, and later extended it to other manufacturers like Samsung. He says companies should onshore production to the US, even though analysts point out that the US-made iPhone would cost thousands of dollars. Reality check. Trump doesn't care about the American consumer. Even Apple's $1 million donation to his inauguration didn't shield it from becoming a target number one. Even with the tariff, India is still the cheapest place to make iPhones, but what if Trump doubles the tariff tomorrow? This move has certainly terrified the tech world. The message to all companies is clear: no amount of lobbying protects you. Trump is unpredictable. rational engagement offers no guarantees. If Apple, one of America's most powerful companies on the planet Earth, can be randomly targeted, who's safe? The rest of the world's watching and they're not impressed. Trump said he'd strike 50 trade deals in 90 days. We're halfway through that window and so far nothing. From India, there's no deal. Vietnam, according to insiders, the US demands were, quote, truly terrible. The UK, just a loose framework still being worked out. Foreign leaders aren't playing ball. They don't want to look weak, and they've seen this movie before. Remember Trump versus China? So, what happens next? More posturing, more noise. Will Trump keep lobbing tariff threats until the US is isolated? One thing is clear, we won't actually end up with 50% mutual tariffs between the US and the EU next year, but the damage will already be done in lost trust, missed investment, and the increasing sense that the US is no longer a reliable trade partner. If the US imposes these tariffs on June the 1st, as planned, the EU might slap a 25% tariff on 20 billion in US goods, and they're prepping for more. Here's the real issue. The Trump administration is sending a message to the world. America is unpredictable and unreasonable. Today it's EU, tomorrow Apple, next week it could be anyone. The irony, this kind of uncertainty doesn't just hurt allies, it damages America's economy, credibility, and long-term competitiveness. And investors are noticing. Neil Shearing wrote on Capital Economics, the guardrails are coming off. Companies are reassessing their risk of investing in the US. So, what do you think? Will the EU cave to the pressure or stand firm? Will Trump's strategy bring new deals or just more chaos? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk. And if you want more breakdowns like this on global trade, politics, and economic power plays, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss a thing.